I will start with the content. Okay, so welcome to another live session from the series Workplace Health and Safety in Australia. And in this live session, I will be talking about how to work safely near roads and traffic. But first, for those that don't know me, my name is Gerson Ida. I'm the founder of www.engineersinaustralia.com, a website that I created to share content of value and useful information to help you in your journey to validate your engineering qualification in Australia. And I also share information about workplace health and safety, like tonight. Sometimes I share information about environmental management, day-to-day of engineering in Australia, and also about professional engineering recruitment. And just a reminder that if you haven't joined my Telegram group yet, what is Telegram? Well, Telegram is like WhatsApp. It's a messaging app, but in my view, much more professional than WhatsApp. And another benefit in Telegram is that there's no algorithm. So all the messages, videos, audios, and posts that I put in the group, everybody gets it. It's your choice, obviously, to open and to read or listen or to watch. I'm going to copy and paste the link of my group. I've got more than 780 people in the group. So, and it's free to join. You just need to download Telegram first. And then if you click on the link that I just pasted in YouTube and Facebook, you can join. If you are watching on Instagram, you can, after the live session, you can go to my bio, and then there is a link. When you click on that link, one of the buttons is for you to join the Telegram group. And why is important to join the group as well? Because now after the live sessions, I'm preparing a PDF of the live sessions with the main points of the live session, and I am doing a little bit of a game with you guys. What I'll do, I will create a PDF of this live session, and then during the live session, I'm going to take a picture of a question, and I'm going to make a post in my Instagram, and I would like to see some reactions and some engagements, obviously some responses to the question that I'm going to ask in Instagram. And if I've got some engagement, I'm going to create this PDF and I'm going to post in Telegram. The PDF is going to be protected by a password that I'm going to release towards the end or during the live session. Obviously, all of this information, all those live sessions is for free. I don't think I'm asking too much for you guys to like my video in YouTube, or if you are on Instagram or Facebook, hit the like button. It helps me, helps my channel, helps my profile in Instagram, and also obviously motivates me to keep going every Sunday. This is live 82, so it means that every week for the last 82 weeks, I am here religiously talking about a subject that is interest of engineers that are trying to become obviously recognized engineers here in Australia. Okay, so working near roads and traffic. So how many of you actually work in proximity of a road or roads or proximity of traffic? Are you guys working in road construction, road maintenance, or as a traffic controller? Please put in the comments so I know how I can add more value to you guys. But mainly, working in proximity of traffic is a significant safety risk for those working on or some infrastructure projects. And the public, obviously, the public is also at risk because obviously when there are some works near the road or near the traffic, there is an interruption or disruption to the normal traffic. And it is very critical that everyone is aware of how safe you can work near the roads and traffic. And talking about the safety legislation, it is the company's primary duty to provide a safe workplace environment that minimizes the risk of injury to workers within or adjacent to a road area. And as I mentioned before, in many lives before as well, in Australia there is an Act, Work Health and Safety Regulation 2011 Act. It's a federal legislation, and each state will have their own work and safety legislation. But this Act 2011 defines construction work on or adjacent to as high-risk construction work. And due to this nature of work being identified as high risk, those people, myself, I work when I go to the site. Obviously, I'm working near the traffic. You guys, if you guys are working as a traffic controller, or if you guys working in on a project site, so those working in or adjacent to or on roads must take reasonable care for your own health and safety, and obviously for others that may be affected by the work that you guys are doing or omissions, and must also comply with all safety policies and procedures. So obviously your company would have safety policies and safety procedures. It's not just the legislation that you got to follow. You got to follow your company's safety and procedures as well. Just going to show how I'm going to do this PDF. So the PDF that I'm going to do, it's going to be this one. So as you can see, that's today. What can you do to work safely near roads and traffic? So I'm going to talk about statistics. I'm going to make a little bit bigger so it's easier for you guys to read. I'm going to talk about some statistics. I'm going to talk about some risks involved when you work in near roads and traffic. I'm going to talk about how you can control risks, and the issue about crossing multi-lane roads. And obviously I'm going to open for question and answers. If you have questions or any other doubt, please put in the comments, and I will be checking during the live session to answer those. And as I said, I'm going to define a password for this PDF that I'm going to place in the Telegram group. So if you're not yet a member of my Telegram group, you have the opportunity to join. The link is in the comments in Facebook and YouTube, or in the link in my bio on Instagram. And just to let you know that from the 31st of January until the 7th of February, I will be holding my online free workshop, Engineering Qualification Validation. We're going to teach you guys in 1 week how you can start your engineering qualification validation process if you are here in Australia or if you are in your home country. So to register, you can access this link. I'm going to also paste in the comments in Facebook and YouTube. And those on Instagram, you can also go to my bio, and the link is going to be there. All right, so just pasting in YouTube now. Okay, so the first topic is about some statistics. So let's talk about some statistics here in Australia. So did you know that accurate data on roadwork crashes in Australia are still unfortunately lacking We don't really have up-to-date or online, on-time kind of a data, but it is estimated that each year about 50 deaths and 750 injuries occur to workers and the public in road work sites. Obviously, we're not talking about just a normal accident on the road, but work site crashes that happens obviously within the work zone. So, and this brings a cost of more than $400 million, and obviously the invaluable price of those 50 lives. So really, really serious, guys, and obviously that's our challenge. The working on the road or near the road or near the traffic is a high risk construction activity. And I live in Brisbane, and Brisbane obviously it's a major city. We've got some roads that are really busy. Some of the roads they have traffic volumes of 140,000 vehicles a day, and a lot of the roads, they are high-speed roads, 100 kilometers an hour, 80 kilometers an hour, 110 kilometers an hour, and multi-lane. So it certainly increases the risk. And what are some of the risks involved? Let's see here in the chat. Do you guys can think about any risk that can happen, or the risk that you are exposed when you are working on the road or when you're working adjacent or near a traffic? Put in the comments if you can guess some of the risks. But obviously, the most obvious hazards to workers undertaking construction work or maintenance activities on or adjacent to a road is the risk of death or injury resulting from coming into contact with traffic or moving plant. But there are some other risks which you may encounter working in this environment. And some of those risks, they can be slips, trips, and falls. Obviously, when you're working adjacent to a road, you could be working on a shoulder, you could be working on a median strip, and it could have uneven ground. And obviously, you have the risk to trip. Sometimes it's grass, the grass could be wet, so you have the risk of slips. Sometimes there is a little bit of a slope, and you can slip as well, and you can fall depending on the difference of levels. Also, another risk is the exposure to excessive sun and heat, especially here in Queensland, where we have 300 days of sunny days, and the summer is quite hot. Not just the summer, but approaching summer and soon after summer, the days are still pretty hot. The temperature could be between 30, 35, sometimes 40 degrees. And then on site, it could be even more because the heat radiates from the asphalt or from the road. So exposure to excessive sun and heat obviously carries the risk of skin cancer and heat stroke and heat stress, etc. Another risk is about fatigue and dehydration. A lot of people, obviously, their work is very laborious and working under the sun and for continuous hours doing strenuous work. It can lead to fatigue and dehydration, so you got to make sure that you drink plenty of fluids. Obviously, talking about water, not talking about energy drinks or coffee, etc., because that just contributes to further dehydration. But certainly, water is certainly minimum of 2 liters of water every day for a normal person. So if you're working on a road where you're going to be probably losing much more water due to sweat, you're probably going to drink 3, 4, 5 liters a day. Another risk is exposure to excessive noise, fumes, and dust. Obviously, there's the normal noise, normal traffic noise, and road construction, road maintenance usually brings plants, vacuum excavation, and excavators, and rock breakers, and all of those compaction equipment. So all of those equipment, they generate a lot of noise. So you've got to make sure that you control those risks. And obviously fumes and dust. Even though you are on the open, you had the fumes of trucks and traffic, and also the fumes of the plant that are working on the site. And dust, especially now with silicosis, it's exposure to silica, respirable silica is quite dangerous. You got to make sure that you control those risks, either wetting down or having extraction methods, moisture, mist, or obviously last resort is going to be some PPE like respirators and so on. Another risk when working near or adjacent to a road or traffic is abuse from members of the public, unfortunately, and also some motorist behaviors. So unfortunately, not everybody, they respect people that are working on roads. Majority of people, they do respect, they do follow the road rules, they do follow the traffic controllers' instructions, but unfortunately, there's always a minority of people that they don't. So you got to make sure you got to be aware of that risk as well. Another risk is distracting or inconscient layout of signs and devices. So for those that they travel during the night, you may see, or even during the day, sometimes the site is very complex. You may end up having a lot of signs, a lot of lights flashing, and it can confuse motorists. So you got to make sure that even though you could be implementing the traffic control devices according to the procedures, but then the motorist could be confused and ended up going to the closed lane and where you're working, and then obviously you got to be aware of that. Another risk is visibility, shade, light, glare at different times of the day. Obviously, when you're working, when the sun is setting, sometimes there's the natural glare of the sun, and if you're working around that area, motorists can perhaps they cannot see you. So you got to, obviously, when you work on the road, you obviously will have traffic control in place, but depending on the lighting and the glare, it could impact the visibility of the traffic control devices as well. And obviously another risk is unauthorized persons or vehicles entering the work site. As much as we try to make sure that the site is isolated and we've got barriers and so on, but it's not feasible to totally block 100%. People can climb fences, people can break in, or people cannot obey the traffic control instructions and run over traffic cones, for example, and then enter the work zone. So you got to be aware of unauthorized persons and vehicles. So I'm just going to show you how the PDF is taking place with this information that we just talked about. So that's how it is taking shape. So I've got here, I'm actually going to highlight this one, working proximity of traffic. So there's the introduction paragraph there, and then some of the statistics that I mentioned. I'm going to highlight that one there as well. and the risks that I just mentioned to you. And now that we know about the risks, I'm going to talk about how we can control those risks. So what I'm going to do before I go to the controlling the risks, I'm going to do the post on Instagram. So you guys can start answering that post, and then I can get some engagement, and I will then make this PDF and going to post in Instagram. So I'm going to take a picture of this question. That's probably good enough. Just bear with me, guys. You guys on Instagram, you will see that I'm going to pop up the post. So that's the one there. And the post, I'm going to just ask the same question. What can you do to work safely near roads and traffic? Question mark. Okay. And share. Yeah, all right. I think it's posted. So I posted there on Instagram. So what I'm going to do, you can see there's a question there. What can you do to work safely near roads and traffic? So by just before 10 p.m., I'm going to double check this post, and I would like to see some engagement with you guys. So if you can like the post and then put in the comments your answer. What can you do to work safely near roads and traffic? If I get some engagement by 10 p.m., I will then create this PDF, and I'm going to post in the Telegram group. Just make sure that you stay until the end, because during the live session, I'm going to release the password of this PDF. Those that are in my Telegram group, you know that those PDFs, they are protected by a password, and the password I will be releasing during the live session. And that's how the PDF is taking shape. Working proximity to the traffic, talk about the statistics, the risks involved, and now I'm going to talk about the control measures. All right, in terms of the control measures, what can we do? So careful consideration should be given when implementing control measures for those working alongside the road corridor. So if you are an engineer, or if you are a project manager, or obviously if you are the worker working on the road or near or adjacent to the road, you've got to have these careful considerations. And implementing control measures will eliminate or help minimize hazards or risks that road workers, contractors, or members of public may be exposed to. And there are numerous ways to reduce the risks associated with working on roads or road-related areas. So can you guys guess any particular control measure that you believe could be used to eliminate or to minimize hazards or risks? What do you guys think? If you guys work on the road or know about this, what do you guys do to make sure that you guys are safe? Let me check the chat so I can make sure that there's nothing there. Yeah. All right. So a few things that you can do to make sure that you work safe is you gotta plan. Obviously, planning is always the first thing that you gotta do. Has the risk assessment process been undertaken? Is traffic management plan required? Can we separate the work site from the traffic? Do we need spotters or traffic control? So those are some questions that you gotta ask during the planning session. And also you gotta ask yourself, can the task be done from within a vehicle? For example, if you can take a picture or you can drive through video. Sometimes the work that you need to do, you need to inspect the road, but to inspect the road, you don't need to leave the vehicle. You can take a picture, you can pull up. Obviously, you're not going to take a picture while you're driving, but you can pull up and then take a picture. Or you can, there are some drive-through videos that you can check as well. In terms of communication, do we need radios, especially UHF radios, to ensure adequate communication over long work lengths or limited site? Advance warning. Have we provided sufficient warning for motorists approaching the work site that people are working on or near the road, and that the road conditions may have changed? Obviously, the public, the driving public, they don't know that there's a work site. So usually you have those VMSs, variable message signs, or you have then the traffic control signage to, obviously in advance, to warn motorists of the work site. And then in terms of signage, another control measure. Are the correct signs are displayed at the correct time? Are signs in good condition and class 1 retroflectivity? Obviously, you gotta have signs that they're not faded, that at night they can be seen, and obviously during the day as well. In terms of PPE, PPE is also a control measure. Obviously, in the hierarchy of controls of risks, is the lowest level of control. But PPE, for example, high visibility clothing, ensure that you've got appropriate style is being worn. For example, during the day or night. Obviously, during the day, it's got to be those orange or yellow kind of vests or shirts. And at night, you got to have retroflectivity clothing as well. And that the clothing is in good condition. Often you see workers with very faded shirts, which they are not really high visibility. And at night, sometimes the retroflectivity of vests and shirts, they're not good. Other PPE, they could be sunscreen and UV safety glasses, broad brim hats, and steel capped safety shoes or boots. Another control measure could be that you got to ensure clearance between workers and traffic is sufficient, or other controls are in place, such as speed reduction or barriers that they are there to protect workers and to separate workers from traffic whenever is possible. And when applying work zone separation, ensure that other road reserve users, such as pedestrians and cyclists, they have been considered and appropriate controls measures have been put in place to allow their safe passage through or around the site. Sometimes you work on a road and you got to make sure that the footpath or the cycleway is still available, or if it's not available, you have a proper detour in place. And also, majority of the companies, they also have a pre-start meeting, which is the discussion that you have in the beginning of the day and during the day when things change. So you can discuss with everybody what's going to happen, and then you identify the risks, and you identify and you let them know the control measures, and you give them the opportunity to everybody to contribute as well if they're feeling safe to work under those control measures. It's very important not to become complacent or distracted when you are working around traffic. Sometimes when you are working every day, especially if you are, for example, a traffic controller, that you work every day on the same site, doing the same thing, perhaps over time you may become complacent, and then it's usually when incidents happen. And if you need to walk near traffic, always have the oncoming traffic facing you. Do not walk with your back to the traffic. You always got to be facing the traffic, especially if you are alone. If you are not alone, if you can have somebody to be your spotter, so you can work with the back to the traffic. Somebody can be spotting the traffic to you, usually between 250 and 400 meters of spotting. So if a car that loses control, whatever, comes towards you, the spotter can let you know. And if you need to cross the road, cross at the crossing when pedestrian lights activate. Obviously, it's not always that you have the luxury to have a pedestrian crossing, but if you do, cross at the crossing, and obviously observe the lights as well. And on site, walk, do not run. Remember that slips, trips, and falls is a risk and is a hazard. And when you run, you obviously increase the chance of having an incident. And do not attempt to cross the road in high traffic areas at any time without using the designated pedestrian crossing area. And we're going to talk about next. All right, Gerson, but what about if I'm working on a highway where there is no pedestrian crossing area? So that's what we're going to talk next. So yeah, that's quite, and obviously these are just some of the controls that that you can have it. Let me show how the PDF is taking shape. Yeah, that's the PDF with the control measures there. All of those things that we discussed. And obviously now we're going to talk about crossing multi-lane roads, because sometimes you are working on a highway, on a motorway, where there is no pedestrian crossing. In this case, what can you do? Well, one, you gotta know that workers are prohibited from crossing a multi-lane highway as a pedestrian without adequate procedures in place where the speed limit is 100 kilometers per hour or greater. So if you are on a highway where the speed limit is 100 kilometers an hour or greater, if it is a multi-lane highway, workers are prohibited from crossing those multi-lane highways. And what could be those adequate procedures? Well, those adequate procedures, they must be considered and determined on the basis of a site-specific risk assessment in accordance with the requirement of the MUTCD Part 3. MUTCD is Manual Uniform of Traffic Control Devices. So that's the Bible of traffic management. So, and Part 3 is the works on roads. So it's difficult to say that you can cross multi-lane highway using this or that, because each highway will be different. You can have 2 lanes, 3 lanes, 4 lanes, 5 lanes. You could be on 100 kilometers an hour. You could be on 110 kilometers an hour. You could be closing just 1 lane. You could be closing 2 lanes, 3 lanes. So depending on the combination of all of these factors, then you got to go to MUTCD, Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, Part 3, works on roads. And then according to the site specific, you will have then the adequate procedures that you can cross a multi-lane road. And why is that? Why are workers prohibited from crossing a multi-lane highway? Because there have been already people that lost their lives because they crossed multi-lane roads while they were working without adequate procedures. So they believe that there's going to be enough time for them to cross the lane, but sometimes they don't really have a good sight of the incoming traffic. They believe that, oh, there's a truck coming. Once the truck goes, I will cross, and then there's a car behind or something like that, and that's it. Obviously, if you get hit on a high speed, the chances of for you to survive obviously is very minimum. All right, guys. Any particular question? We get into the end of the live session, and I'm going to release the password of this PDF. So what could be the PDF, the password for this? I'm just going to check on YouTube and Facebook if there is any question there. No, it's all good. You guys are a bit shy tonight. So no questions. So the password. So I think that the password that you're going to do, I'm going to put as traffic control. What about that? So password is going to be traffic control, all in small letters, no space between traffic control. So that's going to be the PDF password. So again, traffic control, that's going to be the password for the PDF. However, I need to see some reactions. I'm going to quickly double check the post on Instagram. I'm going to give you time until 10 p.m. and see if I've got any. I don't really have any answer. So if you guys don't answer that question, don't hit the like and answer the question. I'm not going to create the PDF. Well, I'm going to create the PDF, but the PDF is just going to be to my students of my mentoring program. I release all the PDFs without password to my students. Okay, if there's no questions there, I would like to remind you guys that from the 31st of January until the 7th of February, I will be holding my online free workshop, Engineering Qualification Validation, and where in just 1 week, you're going to learn everything that you need to do to start your validation process, your engineering qualification validation process here in Australia. So for you to register, obviously it's free and it's online. To register, you just gotta go to if you're watching on Instagram, you can go to my bio. When you click on that link, there is a few buttons. One of the buttons is for you to register to the free workshop. Just one important thing, guys, once you submit your form with your registration, you got to make sure that you will receive an email for you to confirm. So it's very important for you to open that email, and there is a button for you to confirm, and you got to click on that button so you can confirm and finalize your registration. If you don't do that, your registration is not going to be finalized. And the opening event is going to be a live webinar. It's going to be 31st of January at 10 a.m. Brisbane time. So where I'm going to explain how the workshop is going to work, and I'm going to talk about a very important topic for you to get started with your validation process. All right, guys. Well, that's all for tonight. And I hope that the information was useful for you. And I wish you all the best and stay safe when you're working near road or traffic. This video is going to be also available in Facebook and my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please consider subscribing. I've got more than, I think, 150 videos that I talk about engineering qualification validation and about how to get a professional job in Australia, and also obviously about workplace health and safety as well. Thank you very much, guys. And I hope to see you next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time, talking about another topic about engineering. Thank you very much, and I'll see you there. Bye-bye.